Peacemaker said to him in the final episode of Peacemaker? You fuck fish.
Fish.
He, like I said, he's always been a
He lost
giant.
his hand
Sticks, give me
because
that
of
damn news.
What's the news, Sticks? All right, we read some comic books this week, and we're about to talk about them because we actually read comic books here. We don't just look at the pretty pictures. The first book up, Joe's favorite book, The Ministry of Compliance, written by John Ridley, art by Stefano Raphael.
I will let Five talk about it first because he liked it.
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was great.
I don't want to shit all over it, and then you have to talk about how you liked it. So I'll let you talk about how you liked it first.
No, I loved it. I thought it was a great story, a great start. It was 60. I looked online. It was like 67 pages for a number one comic. So it was a little lengthy. It was a little wordy. They did try to fit a lot of world building. I mean, the story only takes place in maybe a day's time.
Yeah,
but
It was
they
like a week.
I don't even know if it was that long. Probably a couple days, but
Yeah.
they did a lot of world building in one issue, and it was definitely wordy. It was thick, but I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
The story did a lot of running, but it was all on a treadmill. Went nowhere.
Aw.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
I
still
do
good,
think
though.
I think the main character, she is badass with her sword.
yeah.
And
You know what it reminded me of when I was reading it? The vibe that I started to pick up was
what was that?
Christian Bale in Equilibrium.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I just
Oh.
kind of felt that kind of dystopian. Future
It also had kind of a
vibe.
Blade Runner vibe to it.
Mhm.
I just read this like right before. That's why I was a little late coming to
Because it's longer than shit. I don't blame you.
Yeah,
I'd be late
I
too.
kept like because
67 pages.
I was reading it on my tablet, and I'm sitting here scrolling, reading, and I'm like, how
It just
long
keeps on going.
is this thing? Like, and look, it's a good story.
I did not know it was that long.
I'm kind of vibing with this character, the main character, the Minister of Compliance.
Mhm.
And I love her sword. Her sword is amazing.
Yeah,
It
sword is
seems to
kick-ass.
get
Grayscale.
longer as she pulls it out of the sheath, which is really interesting. I don't know if it's
That's
like
what she said.
I don't know if it's like the TARDIS
Yes,
in there, or if
It's hardest.
if the sword
It's
is a
that
grower.
alien technology. Yeah.
Well, I
The
mean, I don't know
Ministry
if
of Kung Fu.
I don't know if it's like the sword's a grower, not a shower. I don't know, but like,
For people that haven't read this book, it's about aliens being sleeper agents on Earth, planning to take over. But the problem is, the aliens have lost their way and started acting just like humans, sleeping with humans, having kids with humans, and then it seems like everything is falling apart in their world.
Here's my problem. They are the agents of de-evolution,
Yep.
and they basically are supposed to destabilize Earth to the point where they can absorb it. So you have all
Take
these
over,
different
yeah.
ministries, which are the alien groups. No, I still don't understand what any of them goddamn do. They have names like Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Compliance, but it's
Ministry of
never really
Transportation.
explained in all those goddamn pages of dense shit what they actually do to destabilize Earth.
That's what issue 2's for.
Yeah.
But if you're going to get me 67 pages through a bunch of bullshit and try to do all this world building and all this stuff, and you haven't gotten to the point where you've kind of explained what these ministries kind of do outside of Ministry of Compliance, because that's the one that just kind of oversees the other ministries to make sure they're not fucking up. It's just kind of like, I don't know. By the time I got through it, I was like,
That
read
sounds
a
like
lot.
my job at Renovision,
Yeah.
overseeing you guys so you don't fuck up.
I just felt let down after I got through all of that, and I was like, really? That's what I got out of that? It wasn't enough for me. And it didn't
No,
tease me enough.
67 pages wasn't enough.
Well, no, again, the next book that we're going to talk about, far sparser. It left big holes in terms of what could be happening, and it made me want to read the next one to know what's happening.
Yeah.
This felt like maybe it was just because I read like 4 books before it and I flew through them. and then I got
Maybe.
to this, and maybe that's because it was just so big and dense.
I will say
that I
this:
was like,
if this was a Marvel book, this would have been $10. It's only $5.99,
Yeah.
which is not bad
I'm
for.
not paying by the word.
Okay,
Though.
so my
make it
opinion,
better.
my opinion on this one, it was long, but the length of the book is not my problem. Okay, it's densely packed for as many pages as it is, but I find myself left with two questions. One, why? Who are these aliens? Why are they here? Actually,
I got generally why they're there, but it wasn't really explained well enough.
Actually, three questions I have. One, why are they there fully? Two, why 39 years? When they said that it's taken mostly 16 for the rest of the planets
Because humans are stubborn.
taken. And three, well, I kind of got that idea, but there's more behind that. Three, I like the main character, and I know she's supposed to be the focus of the book, but I find more in common with the half-breed that she takes onto her team that's actually snaking her in the background.
Yeah.
That's part of the rebellion.
I agree. Again, I think if I would have just got a little more about what they are doing to Earth to destabilize it,
and the
I think
vibe,
I would have been far more interested.
The vibe I kind of get on this, and I'm gonna go kind of historical, but also kind of like human mythology on this. This has a lot. This smacks of a lot of the Book of Enoch, and these angels coming to Earth and having things running in the background. But then you've got some of the angels, or aliens in this case, mating amongst humans. And there's some give or take there. I can see threads of like mythology in this story and kind of a little bit of the whole ancient aliens route of things and everything. Plus, we don't know how long they say 39 years, but how long did it take them to scout out humanity? How long did it take them to come here? Have they been amongst us this whole time? These are questions I want answered. Now, mind you, I'm going to read the second book because this is an interesting story so far.
God bless
you. Yeah.
And I have questions.
I'm not.
But one of my major problems is, and I'm gonna play devil's advocate here and go with Joe, who didn't like the book apparently. And that's not me crapping on you, Joe. I'm just saying.
Oh no, I did not like the book. I did.
But what I said, and this goes back to something I said about another certain guy on the other side of fandom that wrote his own book.
Oh, which one?
Do we mention names on this channel, Brucifer?
Sure, why not?
Okay, ISOM. Same length. Same length.
I heard the same complaint about that book. You're actually absolutely right.
And even with the second book, what I fear with the second book on this one is that it's going to do the same as ISOM did, because even in ISOM number 2, you still have no motivation.
And that's my big problem. There's so many indies out there, many indie books, and mostly what I read are indie books. But there's so many. You have to catch me in the first issue. You better grab me, and better have me interested, because there's too much other shit to read that looks interesting.
And this is where I was going with what I have to say. 67 pages of this book that I hope the second book does better. Yet, you go back to a book like Amazing Fantasy number 15, the first appearance of Spider-Man.
Yep.
And it did in 15 pages. It did in 15 pages what ISOM couldn't do in 2 67-page books. Okay? And I hope that the second part of this doesn't leave me wanting. Okay?
Like I said, to me,
so I find
it didn't put out enough.
I find it an interesting story, Red. It's a great story. I just hope they do more for the second book.
And I think we're going to find out, there's a lot going on that, things aren't as they seem. I think she's going to start unraveling things behind the scenes and start realizing that, maybe, there's some other
She's gonna
stuff going on
realize
here.
she's on the wrong side and should be on the right
Yeah.
side.
So-
I just have a feeling it's gonna just fall down those generic tropes of
Yeah, it might.
I'm the
It
badass
could.
character who's the enforcer, but I realize I've been working for the wrong side all along, and now
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I find myself going, I want to know more of the story. I want to get there with it.
Mhm.
I just hope the second book doesn't leave me wanting. Because if the second book leaves me wanting, I won't continue the story.
One thing I will say about the character design, there's a sci-fi show that I've seen that there's a black woman that she's badass, and I just can't remember her name and the show. It was on Sci-Fi Network, I believe.
Live action.
There's it's a live action, and she would be perfect for this role. I just gotta remember who she is.
Oh, and
This book reminded me.
by the way, AOA, I'm not a liberal. I know you're making a joke there. I'm not a liberal, not by a damn side. I'm a centrist, but I get why you said. I get the joke. I understand it, dude.
This book reminded me a lot of reading Jonathan Hickman, because it was wordy, it was lengthy, it was a lot going on in a single issue. So
Oh,
I don't know. I've never heard of John Ridley.
I definitely got Hickman vibes from this story.
Yeah.
With the length and the wordiness of it and the denseness of the pack.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
almost like with 67 pages, they were trying to do too much, but left us wanting more. And that's not a bad thing. Look, leaving somebody wanting more is not a bad thing. I just hope that they stick they stick at least a good landing with the second part of the story, or like I said, it's going to lose my interest.
they filled holes they didn't have to fill, and they left open things that they should have cleared up.
There, you just said you said it well right there, Joe. You said it very well.
That was my problem with it. It's like you gave me a lot, but I didn't really give a shit about a lot of what you gave me. You should have given me certain points and then left other things out. I don't know. Like I said, I wasn't left wanting more. I was left thinking, I'm not going to read number 2 of this.
See, and I was the exact opposite. I was like, wow, I can't wait till issue 2 comes out.
Yeah,
So.
like I said, it didn't leave me wanting where I needed to be left wanting.
I'm going to give issue 2 a read and see if it still will hold my interest. But
I'm probably going to end up reading it anyway now because now I have to see do they write what I felt was wrong. You're correct. Have to, I will read it just to see if they do that. If they give me the same pile of shit, I'm not going to be happy.
Terry Floyd, Gina Torres, and Cleopatra 2525.
Oh, I remember that. I remember that show. I remember that show, Brucifer. Yeah. Yeah. And she does have that vibe. She does have that vibe. Joe just wanted graphic nudity.
He did.
Hey, look,
that would have helped.
There's nothing wrong with a little graphic nudity in a indie book, okay?
This is an IDW book.
My favorite books I read, again, my favorite books are indie books. I love Blackout Bombshell is my favorite book I'm reading right now. I love the first 2 issues of it. It's fantastic. It leaves me wanting more. I want to keep reading the story. It's not horribly dense, but it's just a good story. This was hard for me. It was,
now the second book is a completely different style of writing, and this is a writer who is amazing at setting up in a first issue.
Yep, exactly. I mean, like you might as well throw to the next one, Bruce, and
so we can next slide.
It was a good transition to it.
The Deviant, written by Finian and art by Joshua Hickson.
This is the perfect way you start an issue 1. And I mean, you could be more dense with the text if you wanted, but there was a lot of subtext. There was a lot of visual. There wasn't a ton of dialogue, but they set up a story. They gave you enough info to give you the context of what's going on, and they left enough out to really want you to read the second one. I was hooked into 3 or 4 pages into it. I was like, okay, I'm enjoying this so far, and like I said, I want to read the second one. It was a quick, easy read, and just grab me.
I'm all for serial killers and trying to find out who the serial killer is and add Tinny into the mix. It just was
Santa
amazing to me.
Claus.
Oh
Uh, Okay, so first of all, James Tinian is a great writer,
Yep.
yes,
and this had very like I read The Nice House by the Lake,
yes.
That was great.
which is an
Fantastic.
amazing story. Um, and this kind of has that same vibe a little bit.
Hmm.
Uh,
He always starts. He's a very strong the way he starts a story.
yeah. Now this book, it was minimalist, which was good
Hmm.
because it leaves your mind working on the story. Like, and the questions I had are: is the kid that was interviewing the the man in the prison,
Supposed killer. Yeah.
is he the killer?
I
Is
didn't
he
think
this new
I didn't
killer?
get that. I didn't
Yeah.
get
See, I
that.
was wondering the same thing.
Is
Michael
he
is
is
yeah.
Michael the new killer? Has he been since because he goes into the story in the story he goes into how he lived in the same town that this happened in, and he heard about this since he was a child, and he's and the old man in the prison, calls him out for being gay, and you have to wonder, like, was he so
He draws
afraid?
parallels.
Yeah,
The
was
old guy
he?
draws parallels to the kid.
Yeah, and the thing that I want to know about Michael is he so screwed up about who he is that
Mhm.
now he's taken on the soul of this old man that supposedly was the original murderer, and that goes back, and you can draw all of that back to the title of the book, The Deviant.
Or the old guy wasn't the killer in the first
No, he's
place.
not the killer. He said he's not
He
the
said
killer.
he said it. He wasn't.
He said he's not the killer,
He said he's not, but you can't
but
always
he's in
trust the
prison.
serial killer.
He's in
He's
prison for the killings.
he's in prison for
So
the
we don't
killings.
know.
And what I know from and why this really gets me is because I'm a huge true crime guy. So like that character in the prison, the old man that's the supposed original killer,
Hmm.
gives off vibes of other serial killers I've heard in real life, that I've heard listened to talk about their
Yeah.
lives and everything else. So he could very well be lying. He could also be innocent. We don't know yet. But that's the greatness of this story and why I'm looking forward to issue 2 now.
And the title is what was used to describe gay men and deviants.
Yeah.
So I once I read the story, I'm like, ooh, and that's this cover right here.
Dude, that cover's amazing.
It's
That's one of the
amazing.
best covers.
Bermejo always kills it, man. He's just awesome.
See, the feeling I got from it was the guy's idolized this story. He's idolized this serial killer, and now he's getting the chance to interview him. And I think he might be the actual current killer.
Well, Michael, the one thing that I've taken away from Michael is he has this very meek kind of seeming to himself. He seems very meek.
Yeah.
And and this goes back again to my true crime interest. A lot of serial killers have that meekness, or at least they present that to the world because they're fighting with who they are inside themselves. Okay, they're
Yeah.
fighting with the quote unquote deviant things they've done. And again, that draws not only to what gay men have been called in the past, but also to being a serial killer. You're a serial killer. You're a deviant. There's obviously something wrong inside your head or inside your heart that causes you to go out and do these deviant things and kill. And I
Yeah.
see this a lot in my line of work. I've worked in board before, and I've done autopsy and stuff, and I've had to go and actually talk at and give testimony at grand juries for murderers. And I've seen this
I don't
time
want to
and
get the
time
hose
again.
again, Terry.
Huh?
Sorry, I had to tell Terry that he didn't want to get the hose again.
Speaking of him bringing that up, there's a song by the Greenskeepers called "Lotion" that's about the Buffalo Bill character in that movie. Uh,
Oh.
And part of the chorus is it puts the lotion on the skin, or else it gets the hose again.
If
I,
if this ends up being the same killer from 1973 to 2023, this I think the killer's supernatural in
It could.
some aspect. Could
It
be.
could be, and that's the beauty of this story. It could be the kid that's it
Mhm.
predominantly the main character. It could be the old man that's in prison, or it could be a supernatural killer. We don't know. And that's what's going to lead into reading the next book, because with the minimalist way they do this book, it makes your mind do the work for you, like a lot of horror movies do. It makes your
Mhm.
mind do the work for you. And that's part of what's so good about psychological horror is it makes you do the work.
Is
It
this
gives
a
you
ongoing series or a limited series? Does
I
anybody
think it's
know?
gonna be a limited series.
9
Oh,
issues.
I have a feeling you're like me, Thade, where you want to constantly harass Netflix to bring back another season of Mindhunter.
Oh god, yes.
that was Mindhunter.
Mindhunter's freaking amazing.
Goes back to my Fincher love.
But yeah, this book was definitely intriguing.
Am I lagging?
No,
No,
No, you're good. You're good.
you're good.
This book was definitely intriguing to me, and it really, really makes my choice feel very adolescent. Uh, but that's but I love what they're trying to do with this one. It's very psychological, and I'm looking forward to reading the next issue. Hopefully, it comes rather soon.
like
Yeah,
I
because
said, this
some
one
of
did for me
Tinian's
with the other
work
one.
has been some of Tinian's work has taken months to come out.
Yeah,
I
I
feel like
know. Which,
I,
but like I said,
I don't think he's as overworked right now as he was then either.
it gives me the vibes a little
Yeah.
bit of the nice house by the lake,
Yeah.
and I want more. I want to see more. Tinian has that ability to do that to you. He makes you want more. So
yeah.
And again, like I said, this did for me what the other book didn't. It made me ask questions, made me want to read the second one really, really bad. So I don't know. It was a good balance this week of what a good comic can do for me and what a comic that doesn't hit me does for me.
Anybody has that 1 in 100? If you want to send it to me as a gift, I will more than appreciate it.
I did order one,
Oh, nice.
but I'm not sending it to you.
Wow.
Too bad.
And I've been so nice to him all year.
I know. Yep. Yep.
All
Sorry.
right. The next book, since Dave, it was his first time, I let him pick a book that he wanted to review. So next up, we have Creepshow #3, this year's series, written by Zoe Dorgood, art by Gilliam March. How did you enjoy this book? Or if you didn't enjoy this book?
okay, so I guess I'll give it a start since I'm the one who
Yeah.
threw this one out there. The first story was like gave you very like hopeless vibes because this woman has been alive for ages. And I like the minimalist way that they did it in her talking about what she suffered through over, I think it's like 1,000 years, a little over a couple of
Jeez.
millennium that she went through in her life. As for the second story in this book, it's very Lovecraftian, and I'm a huge, huge Lovecraftian guy. Like I love the Lovecraftian stories, and that one was just
Angry.
messy. That story was it was also very minimalist, but it was also very messy, and it said a whole lot like about sacrifice and about greed actually because of the they wanted the diamond and everything else, and just an interesting couple of stories.
I didn't get a chance to read this week. Who wrote all of the stories? Was it all Zoe Thorogood or was it multiple like it has been
It's
anthology wise?
multiple.
It's
It was
multiple.
multiple. Yeah.
Because I know in that first issue, that Garth Ennis one it came out of the gate hot.
Yeah, it
Came out of
did.
the gate really hot.
You guys reviewed it, right?
Yeah, Well, I think
Yeah,
Tack
I was uncomfortable with that one.
or
Oh,
Jedi,
what the
Jedi
first
did it.
issue of Creepshow?
Yeah, first
Yeah,
issue.
yeah.
Yeah, that first issue was woo.
Yeah, it came out pretty hot.
I've also been watching like the most recent season of Creepshow on on
Yeah,
AMC. So
it's back.
yeah, there's a fourth season that dropped last month. So
Oh,
I've always been kind of like into these anthology horror shows. Stuff like Creepshow, Tales from the Crypt. I've also liked American Horror Story, which was every season's a different story.
The first few seasons were so good at that show, and then I lost it.
Well,
It,
the way
it
with me,
lost me.
the way I judge that show, for one, it's gone too long, in my opinion. But I think that he's coming to because everything's tied together. All the different like stories are tied together. But
Yeah,
um, I think he's coming to a point, but he should have come to a point 5 seasons ago.
yeah, I agree.
yeah.
So the way I see that show is like I see most anthology horror. Season one's great. Season two, not so much. Season three, wonderful. Season four, wonderful. My favorite season of that show is Freak Show. Season four.
Yeah, Freak Show I enjoyed Freak Show. I didn't mind Coven.
Coven's
Uh,
great. Hotel is
the first season
Hotel
was
is
great.
amazing. Hotel is amazing. Then you've got Roanoke, which sucks.
See,
Roanoke was horrible.
I wasn't a huge fan of Hotel.
1984 was really good. If you like old style like
Yeah.
camp slasher movies, 1984
It was
great.
interesting. I mean, I give them credit for trying.
But the last several seasons have just not been
No.
all that great. Now the
I
American
think like
Horror
was it
Stories.
VHS? The one where they're in the camp.
No, that's
That was
1984.
the 84.
That's
Oh, it's
84.
1984. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now American Horror Stories, which goes back to the root of single episode anthology shows like Tales from
Mhm.
the Crypt and Creepshow, has been really good with their stories. And I think that's where anthology horror is best when it's like a single episode for each story, and it goes back to the old classic EC style. Plus,
Nice.
Creepshow was influenced by Stephen King, and I love Stephen King as a writer. So a lot of these stories are not so much Stephen King anymore when it comes to Creepshow, but they're influenced by like his style of writing. So some of these stories kind of stand by that. So.
JJ.
Yeah, and Are You Afraid of the Dark? There in the chat. Are You Afraid of the Dark was one of the best anthology horror shows ever, especially when I was younger.
I've never.
Have
seen
you
that.
watched Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities?
No, but it's on my list of things to watch, and I hear
Yeah,
it's pretty
I
good.
liked it. I thought it was pretty good.
I've seen the first 2 episodes. I think it was pretty good.
Yeah, I
First
watched the whole thing.
episode,
It was
the
it was
storage
pretty
unit.
decent.
Holy crap!
Yeah, there's a really funny episode that it's almost like a 80s synthwave type vibe to it, but it's just nuts.
Tales from the
There's some
Hood,
good ones.
equal greatest.
The first movie of Tales from the Hood, really good. The other ones got a little weird.
I don't think I was. I don't think I've made it past. I don't think I've seen anything past the first one. I didn't know they had sequels.
I didn't either.
All right. Next up, well, would you recommend this? Read to everyone.
Oh
Dave?
yeah, of course. Like Creepshow, like the whole Creepshow vibe is great. So yeah, I would recommend it to people to read because the stories are relatively easy to get through. They're only a few pages, and you get a couple of different stories a book. So it kind of goes back to the old way comic books were done. So if you want like kind of a classic horror feel, by all means, go check out the Creepshow series. There's 3 issues out now, so it's been really good.
Nice. All right. Next up.